From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is AgDay.
Rice harvest rolls on in the south, but the weather isn't helping.
This year we're concerned because of so much rain.
What farmers in Louisiana are seeing, the need for feed.
The drought has been horrible. Crops from South Texas to Kansas are down.
We check on silage harvest in Texas as farm groups line up with their wish lists.
A lot of legislators see that, there's quite a little money in farming right now.
What they would like to see in the next farm bill, right now on AgDay. Good morning, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Happening right now, Congress is getting input on a new farm bill that will be written next year. AgDay's Michelle Rook looks at some farm group priorities that are surfacing and how those get balanced with the current economic climate.
Clinton House and Senate Ag Committee members have a tough job ahead of them writing the 2023 Farm Bill. They'll have to balance Republican plans to cut federal spending with desires from farm groups pitching proposals to raise reference prices for commodities, which would require more funds for the Farm Bill's safety net. Who controls Congress may dictate the tone of the next farm bill. If led by Republicans, it's expected to look similar to the past two bills with slight tweaks. Under Democratic control, the focus may be on climate, but the big debate will be funding, especially with high commodity prices.
Writing a farm bill when the prices are good is a little difficult also. A lot of legislators see that, there's quite a little money in farming right now. However, our inputs and so forth are high, so it's an easy argument to say, we're not protected quite yet in that part of the farm bill.
A Republican study committee proposed a budget plan to slash federal programs, including Farm Bill commodity and conservation programs, even crop insurance. Washington lobbyist Mary Kay Thatcher says they're eyeing the deficit.
One of the toughest things is that you get a lot of farm groups that are saying, yep, we're going to go ask for more money, and therefore they are setting their priorities on having new money. Well, what happens if there is no more new money? Then you have to ratchet back everything you've asked for. So at the moment, it's a bit of a mess.
It's unclear if the baseline will be helped by the $19.5 billion for conservation in the Inflation Reduction Act. And groups like the American Soybean Association want base acre updates and a higher reference price on soybeans, although they haven't set that level.
It needs to be higher than where it's at. I mean, it just does not support us in the ag area, and it hasn't. I mean, we've really never dipped into the farm program on the soybean side because of the reference price.
And in an unprecedented move, even cattlemen are coming to the table asking for enhancements to the livestock revenue protection program, so it provides the same level of risk management crop insurance does.
It really will help the average cow-calf operator because the numbers, you can have one cow or you can have a large number of animals and be eligible now. If we can get into a level where we can use that to protect the producer from some of these difficult markets where we maybe can't get into the market timely for the cattle, it really could be an effective tool.
And when it comes to crop insurance, it's one area of the Farm Bill that continues to have consensus from farm groups and lawmakers, regardless of party. So Thatcher's confident about preserving it as is and without caps directed at large farmers.
If I was thinking optimistically about one program in the Farm Bill right now, I'd feel really good about where crop insurance is, because I think people recognize it's a pretty important safety net.
But the House and Senate Agriculture Committees have held very few field hearings yet on the Farm Bill, so it's still early in the process, and the political landscape may also change after November.
Could Texas and the rest of the South be getting a break from the rain this week? Meteorologist Megan Savik is here with the answer.
That's right, Clinton, and it looks like we're going to get more rain in parts of the South, Texas and the Gulf Coast included, as we head through the rest of this week. More chances for that rain. Let's take a look at the precipitation map here. It'll show you exactly where that's going to be happening, and is still dealing with some of those showers and storms out in the southwest, but much above normal precipitation from East Texas all the way through Louisiana, southern parts of Mississippi and Alabama, but even more rainfall being likely all the way up into parts of Tennessee and into the mid-Atlantic states as well, but very dry across parts of New England, the Great Lakes, the upper Midwest, and out in parts of the West as well. And this is why we've got this jet stream that's really has not moved all that much over the past couple of weeks. That's why it's been so hot and so humid across much of the country. But as we head through this week and into the upcoming weekend, we start to see signs of things beginning to break down. And you can see it right there where we've got that dip in the jet stream over the northern plains. And we're going to continue to see temperatures likely trend downward just a little bit as we head deeper into the month of September. But temperatures this week across the northern half of the United States still going to be much above normal, especially out from the Rockies and Central Plains onto the West Coast, and above normal anywhere in the east as well. Just dealing with below normal temperatures or temperatures right around that average where we're dealing with all of that rain through this week. And bet you had some of this over Labor Day weekend. Sweet corn. Robert Reese of Lansing, Michigan, finishing up harvest on his sweet corn, saying the season is slowly coming to an end as this was his last planting. That looks so tasty there. I'll have more on your forecast coming up.
$150 billion. That's how much tariffs placed on China have pulled in for the U.S. That number coming from Customs and Border Protection. Now, you'll remember the Trump administration imposed tariffs in 2018 and 2019 on $350 billion worth of imports in retaliation for China's trade practices. China responded by imposing tariffs of its own on U.S. goods. Late Friday, the U.S. Trade Representative's office announced the tariffs will remain. It follows a review that started back in May. But China continues to buy U.S. ag goods despite the tariffs. Bloomberg reporting that Chinese firms have booked at least 40 cargoes of soybeans from the U.S., Brazil, and Argentina in the past 2 weeks alone. Sources tell them it's being done to take advantage of improved processing margins and to rebuild stockpiles ahead of Chinese festivals that run from the autumn through the Lunar New Year. Lots of new farm technology announced recently, not just equipment, but right down to the seed. Pivot Bio announcing an industry first, on-seed microbial nitrogen for crops. Now, it includes corn, grain sorghum, and spring wheat. Pivot Bio telling Farm Journal its mission is to replace synthetic nitrogen with a better source of nitrogen for growers. It's being marketed as proven 40 on seed for corn and return on seed for small grains. Now, it says in testing, the Pivot Bio microbes had 14% more nitrogen and 12% more plant biomass. And Corteva and BASF are teaming up to introduce a new weed control for soybean growers. Now, BASF will license its proprietary gene for herbicide tolerance to Corteva, and Corteva will develop a new herbicide-tolerant trait stack. The stack is expected to be available in all Corteva seed brands. They anticipate it be commercially available in the early 2030s, pending regulatory reviews and complete testing. U.S. cropland cash rents are hitting an all-time high. USDA's National Ag Statistics Service says this year the national average for cash rents on cropland is $148 an acre. Now that's up $7 from last year. It also beat the previous high from 2015 of $144 per acre. The state with the highest cropland per acre cash rents, Arizona, coming in at $336. Now several states did see double-digit increases in rents compared to last year. Topping that list, West Virginia, where rents rose 12%. Grain markets rallied back while live cattle futures also climbed. We'll take a look at markets coming up next. And later, harvest is running down south. It looks like the rice crop's in good shape. We have details in the country.
Ag Day is brought to you by Endzone from Farm Shop MFG, which allows you to rehydrate your soybeans from 10 to 13%. On a 20,000 bushel bin, that's an extra semi-load added to your bottom line. Order your Endzone fan now and get 13% off while supplies last.
Grains turned things around last week to end in the green. Michelle Rook is back with where things may be heading after the holiday weekend. That's our Market Today report.
Joining us with market analysis is Jim McCormick with agmarket.net. Well, a higher day on Friday with the exception of hog futures and grains, a nice corrective bounce, but you know, can we keep it going this week, especially as we start squaring up for that WASDE?
It's going to be a little bit tough. I think we had a very volatile week last week. A lot of pressure, people worried about what was going to happen into the weekend. Now that we're looking at this week, we're looking at a shortened trading week. You got the WASDE out in a week from now. You know, everyone is looking for the crop to get smaller. Michelle, plain and simple on the corn front. Beans maybe stay slightly big, stagnant to maybe slightly bigger. So the real question is, how is aggressive the government going to be on these numbers? Our group does look for the corn crop to get a little bit smaller, plain and simple. There's been a lot of damage this summer due to the extreme heat and dryness in the Western Belt, especially.
Yeah, and do we get caught back up, though, in the recession fears? I know we get fund liquidation every time we see, COVID lockdowns in China and crude oil falling and whatnot.
Michelle, I think that's a very good question right now. I think the trade is very confident the crop's getting smaller. I know I am in the corn side, and the bean side is relatively stagnant. I think the million-dollar question now is, where's demand going to be? You mentioned it. China's got a COVID crisis. They're locking people down. On top of it, they've got a lot of economic issues due to the drought they've had and the extreme heat they've had going on for a couple, 2-3 months now. So their economy is really slowing down. As their economy slows down, the demand for goods is very, very questionable at this point in time. So yeah, I think the demand question is probably the bigger debate within the industry at the moment.
So cattle had a good week last week. Live cattle futures making new highs in those back months, and we are seeing that despite the fact that we had lower cash and, some of these recessionary concerns. Can we keep building on that, do you think?
Well, I hope we can. I mean, the back months are a little bit more friendly, I think, because we have seen some tightening. The cattle and feed room numbers have been showing us that the supply is going to be tightening as we go into the fourth quarter as well as the first quarter. But even seeing the front months firm up this past week was kind of nice to see. The jobs number came in, I think, relatively well. A lot of people are calling it the Goldilocks. You saw people come, jobs gained from people who actually were been on the sidelines. So maybe that's a little bit positive note for the cattle industry as well.
All right, appreciate your analysis, Jim McCormick with agmarket.net. Full analysis at agweb.com, and we'll have ag weather coming up.
To contact Jim McCormick at Ag Market, call 844-4AG-MARKET or visit their website at www.agmarket.net. AgDay is brought to you by MetLife Investment Management's Agricultural Finance Group. MetLife Investment Management is positioned to help you grow your business with a competitive farm, ranch, and agribusiness loan. To learn more, visit investments.metlife.com/agriculture.
Meteorologist Matt Yurosavik joining us here, taking a look at precipitation expectations for this week, and it looks like it's kind of a tale of two halves here.
Oh yeah, and just like last week, we're going to be dealing with more rain in parts of Texas, parts of the Gulf Coast. Meanwhile, the northern half of the country is going to be extremely dry and pretty warm as well. And if you take a look at this map, you can really see where that precipitation is going to fall through this week. Southern California, back into parts of Nevada, and most of the state of Arizona. Going to see more of that rain will hopefully eat away at some of those drought conditions. Then as we head through Texas and parts of the Gulf Coast, much above normal, we're going to be dealing with heavier rain, pockets of it through the week as that more stalled out fronts really just kind of linger through parts of the south. Then in the north, that's where we've got less rain likely and actually very dry conditions, especially across parts of the Corn Belt. But here's a look at precipitation as we head through this week. Look where most of it is. Most of it is right across southern parts of Texas and into the Gulf Coast. And then it looks like some more rainfall moving up the East Coast as well. Something that we'll continue to watch because as that trough breaks down to the west, as the ridge breaks down to the west, you get a trough in the east, and that will create more unsettled conditions. But because of that ridge, still extremely warm in the west and above normal across most of the east. Normal temperatures are below normal parts of Texas and across parts of the Gulf Coast. And this is why we're saying that ridge hasn't gone very far as we went through really the last couple of months. But now, as that starts to break down, look at the little trough that starts to kind of pop up in the east, and that could keep things very unsettled along the south and up the eastern seaboard as well. And then another kind of dip in that jet stream in the northern plains through the latter half of the week. But here's a look at those fall temperatures above normal for most of the country as we head through September, October, and November. And most of the country also going to be below normal with regards to precipitation. We'll continue to track that right here on Ag Day. That's a look around the country. Now let's take a look at the weather where you live. Strasburg, Pennsylvania, mostly sunny with an afternoon shower possible, a high near 84 degrees. Heading to Huntsville, Alabama, showers and thunderstorms possible, a high near 85. And Buffalo, South Dakota, sunny and hot, a high near 95.
Your next piece of equipment is on MachineryPete.com. Search equipment from dealerships across the country to find what you're looking for. only on machinerepeat.com.
We know dairy cows love silage, but it's in short supply this year due to drought conditions. Custom silage harvester Jay Proctor shows us how he takes it from farm to feed in this video from the Texas Farm Bureau.
Well, you know, we all have to eat, and a cow is no different. In the dairy world, on good corn silage, you know, they're going to feed some 35 plus pounds per cow per day. So you take a 10,000 cow dairy feeding 365 days out of the year, that's a lot of feed. I'm Jay Proctor from Lincolnville, Texas, and I'm a custom silage harvester. We're almost on the Mexican border here all the way to southwest Kansas. Silage is a whole crop. Take a whole crop plant, wheat, oats, rye, triticale, various other crops, corn silage, sorghum silage, which is what we have right here. Chop it up into small pieces, put it in pit, on pile, on the ground, or a bag, and it's an anaerobic process. You get the oxygen out of that crop, and then it ferments and turns into feed. This time of year, we're direct cutting. The machine has a header attachment that cuts the crop and processes it through the machine at the same time. So we can do it all in one pass. This is a totally different machine than a combine. You know, this designed to harvest the whole plant and make little pieces out of big pieces of the whole thing. Trucks bring it in here, dump it into this pit where we're taking this tractor, we push it into this pile, compact it as we go because we're trying to get the air out of it. On the machine, we've applied an inoculant, a bacterial inoculant, which is microbes that help consume the oxygen, stabilize the product, and help it ferment faster and make better feed. The drought has been horrible. Crops from South Texas to Kansas are down anywhere from 90% to 25%. These guys are trying to feed all these cattle, and they have to have something. Silage is extremely important in this drought situation. We can make it out of some crops that are not premium quality crops. Some stressed corn, stressed sorghum, and we can make a pretty nice product out of it that these guys can definitely use to feed their animals.
Our thanks to the Texas Farm Bureau for sharing that update with us. And while silage season has kicked off, John Deere is starting to prepare for next silage season. The company announcing it will add 3 new Deere-powered self-propelled forage harvesters to the 2023 lineup. They are the 9500, 9600, and 9700. Now, according to Deere, the lineup will meet the needs of contractors, custom harvesters, and dairy and livestock producers dealing with increased cost, shorter harvesting windows, and fewer skilled workers. It says it expands the horsepower for its wide-body forage harvesters and made updates to maximize machine uptime and reduce the cost of operation. And harvest is rolling down in the south. We'll check in on rice harvest in Louisiana and what farmers are calling a very good crop next.
AgDay, brought to you by Rumensin. Rumensin's quality, consistency, and efficiency make it the right choice for your cattle operation. Rumensin, trusted by generations.
The Louisiana rice harvest is 67% complete. Farmers report the yields have been excellent. As Craig Gocho reports, the weather during the growing season was very cooperative, but the harvest season has been plagued by rain.
During the first part of August, Louisiana rice farmers were making quick work of this season's harvest. Yields were very good, and it was looking like it was a potential record crop.
Basically, we had little disease and beautiful weather for growing the crop this year.
But now the harvest is bogged down during the second half of August. Daily rains have stopped the combines, and the crop is beginning to lodge from the wind and rain. The weather is expected to have a negative effect on the second crop of rice in southern Louisiana.
This year we're concerned because of so much rain. We cut fields that had a lot of moisture where it rutted the fields, so that lowers the potential for a good second crop yields.
Many farmers depend on that second crop to remain viable, but the optimum date for producing a second crop has passed.
Most of the rice we like to harvest by mid-August. to get the ratoon crop or even for crawfish production. So we get enough growth for our crawfish production practices.
Rice farmers will need good crawfish production because rice prices have not increased as much as other farm commodities.
We saw a little bump in prices due to some issues in California with water, but we hadn't seen the bump that some of the other crops have seen.
Another potential problem is that the rain will lead to some disease issues and reduce the milling quality of later harvested rice. With the LSU Ag Center, this is Craig Gautreaux reporting.
All right, thanks, Craig. And that's all the time we have this morning. We're glad you tuned in. From all of us here at AgDay, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Have a great day on the farm.